The NEWSROUND on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're welcome along to Tuesdays Off the Ball. It is Eoin here with you right the way through until 10 o'clock tonight, and there is plenty happening across these few hours. We're going to be building up to Portugal versus the Republic of Ireland tomorrow night. Brian Kerr will be with us in the football show a little bit later on. Miguel Delaney will also be with us after 9 o'clock. And we're going to chat to Miguel as well about the end of this summer's transfer window and what it tells us about the balance of power amongst the big leagues of Europe. Spoiler alert, the Premier League not doing so badly when you compare it to, say, Spain at the moment. We're also going to be catching up with Marty Clark after 8 o'clock for a bit of a sporting career retrospective and for a chat as well about his first steps into coaching this summer. He was involved in that Down team that won the Ulster Under-20 Championship earlier on this summer. We'll also have your Paralympics report later after another great day for Team Ireland in Tokyo. 2 more medals to add to the tally. And Ellen Keane, she's been in conversation with Patrick Monaghan, who is going in the wheelchair marathon this weekend. It's a really good chat, and that is coming your way at around 7:30 this evening. As ever, we'd love to hear from you. You can drop us a text using the number 53106 or drop us a tweet as well at Off the Ball. Anne-Marie Donelan is with us in studio for this evening's news round. How are you, Anne-Marie?
Hi, Owen. Big day for you.
A big day for me.
In Ronaldo.
Oh, thanks very much.
First time, isn't it?
And congratulations to our colleagues Nathan Murphy and Joe Malloy as well, the veterans of the system as well.
Year of the underdog.
It is. I mean, I would have it down as a massive omen for Mayo to win the All Ireland this year, because Nathan Murphy's season will be ramped up nicely, and he will be just waiting nicely to ambush Joe Malloy, just like Mayo did to Dublin just a few weeks ago. I'm sure there will be plenty on Golf Weekly and wherever else you get your Nathan Murphy versus Joe Malloy banter over the next little while. But tonight is not that night, Anne-Marie. We've got Dave McIntyre listening in. Dave, how are you getting on?
Evening, guys. Congratulations, Owen. Let the infighting begin.
Exactly. I will be very much the third wheel watching on as it all unfolds over the next little while. So we did want to chat a little bit about transfer deadline day, guys, because, I mean, you might not know, by the way, it is transfer deadline day. It isn't what it used to be. We don't have players showing up to football stadiums where they're not wanted. We don't have Sky Sports news presenters holding off fans doing obscene gestures behind their backs at football grounds. It isn't what it used to be. It doesn't mean, though, that the transfer window wasn't extraordinary, because it was. It's just that teams have got their house in order and complete deals far earlier in the window nowadays. So it takes away the last day drama, but it doesn't mean it wasn't a great window. So, Dave, we sent you away earlier on to give us a breakdown of all the big teams in the Premier League and how they performed over the last few months. You will be handing out the all-esteemed trophy, Who Won the Transfer Market?
Yeah, it's been a long, thankless task, but one I felt the listeners of this esteemed radio show needed me to do for them. So I was happy to step up to the plate on all other football-associated cliches.
Well, give us the big winner first of all, then, team-wise.
I don't think there was a standout winner.
Okay.
I think, and it's obviously in the news this evening that the deal has been done officially. I think Manchester United are, for me, the standout winner of this season's transfer window. Not necessarily because of the calibre of the player they brought in, but just because of the feel-good factor it seems to have brought to them. They have brought in 3 very good footballers, 3 world-class players who they will expect to help them in the case of Varane and Sancho for quite a considerable period of time. And then in terms of Ronaldo, maybe a year or 2. But I mean, even though it's a 36-year-old Ronaldo and it's a far cry from the Ronaldo that left in 2009, it's still an incredibly exciting signing, whatever the reasons behind it are, whether it was ego, whether it was down to personnel, whether they genuinely feel he'll make a difference for them. Rafael Varane, a World Cup winner, arriving for €40 million, and Jadon Sancho, who they've been chasing for the best part of 2 years. And they've also got good money today for Daniel James as well, who is going to be just an additional member of the wingers squad in that panel of players and was likely to see very little game time, and getting 15 million for him I think is good business. So they've improved in all areas bar centre midfield. They absolutely would have tanked the opposition in this transfer window had they brought in a genuinely top class midfield player, but they haven't done that. And I think when you look at the United squad and you think they're capable of putting together a title tilt, and then you see that their starting midfield pair 2 weekends ago was Fred and Matic. Well, that brings you back a little from that assumption. But overall, I think Manchester United have done very well.
Yeah, as I say, we're going to have Miguel Delaney with us a little bit later on to chat about that as well, about why didn't Manchester United bring in a midfielder. But we should keep this going. I presume Chelsea are right up there in the winners category?
Yeah, they haven't done an awful lot of business, Chelsea, obviously, but they've brought in probably the one part of the game that was missing last season, a genuine out-and-out striker that will score 25 to 35 goals a season. If they get the Romelu Lukaku, and it appears like that is the case already, that has done so well at Inter under Antonio Conte over the last couple of seasons, well, Chelsea are going to be even better than the side that won the Champions League, and maybe given that Timo Werner was supposed to be their standout striker, in the end they shared the burden with the likes of he and Kai Havertz and Mason Mount and even the likes of Giroud and Tammy Abraham, who've now both left the club. But one of the reasons I have Chelsea in the top three is that they've got huge money for Tammy Abraham. I mean, to get 40 million for him going to Roma, I think is an incredible deal for them. And they have also managed to send Billy Gilmore out on loan, which I know isn't a huge achievement, but it's a clever move because he wasn't going to see any game time under Thomas Tuchel. And I have an awful lot of time for this guy. I'm actually commentating on the Denmark-Scotland game tomorrow night, and I'm looking forward to it because he's almost certainly going to start. And he missed out on the Croatia game at the Euros after that COVID-19 positive case, having played so well against England. So those three factors for me have Chelsea in the top three in terms of the big winners of this year's window.
Right, so who is team number 3 then in Dave McIntyre's exhaustive list of winners from the transfer market 2021?
Yeah, there was no other real standout side, I thought. Like, you could argue that maybe City have got Grealish, but they haven't got the striker they were looking for. And Tottenham have managed to hold on to Harry Kane, and they brought in a couple of very good players, including Romero, who we haven't seen as yet, but we will very soon. But I have Aston Villa in there because of the results haven't been great so far this season, but I think Danny Ings is a brilliant signing. He's already got 3 goals in 3 games. I don't know how he managed to persuade Southampton to let him go, because I think that could be the difference between Southampton staying up and going down. He is one of the most underrated strikers, and I think he should be in the England squad every time it's announced. But not just the signing of Danny Ings, who started scoring already. I think Ashley Young brings an awful lot of experience back to the club. And Axel Tuanzebe, who has never let Manchester United down when he's been fit. And I remember him coming in for the Champions League game against PSG that they won last season in the group stage. And he hadn't played for United in over 12 months. And he had barely any game time under his belt. And he came in that night and he was absolutely superb at the Parc des Princes. He's a genuine Champions League defender. They've got him on loan for the whole season. And I think he's going to be brought back to Old Trafford if he has a really good campaign, maybe in the way that Jesse Lingard has after his impressive spell at West Ham. I think he's going to be a massive asset for them defensively. They've lost Grealish, their talisman, their captain, the guy who makes them tick, and they're probably going to miss his, well, they definitely will miss his creativity. But they've got 100 million coming in the opposite direction. I think Villa will be okay this season, and Danny Ings could score 20 Premier League goals. And if you've any guy and you're a bottom half side that's doing that, you're probably going to stay up.
Yeah, bit of a no-brainer signing once he became available, it seems, for Aston Villa. So congratulations, Villa fans. Congratulations, Chelsea fans and Manchester United. You've all made the podium on Dave McIntyre's list this summer. Now, the bottom 3, David, who have you been looking at? Who's had a disaster of a window?
Well, I think the side that have had the most disastrous window is Arsenal. And that's just another heap of mud to fling at them when they are down, and we're very much kicking them when they're down this evening. But I mean, they've signed Ben White for big money. He's unproven. I know he had a decent season for Brighton, but the English premium was very much in play here, paying 50 million for him. Look, he could turn out to be a very good defender for them. But I mean, aside from that, they already had Martin Odegaard. So yes, they brought him in on a permanent basis, but they had him on loan last season. He's a good player. I think Real needed to raise a bit of cash to try and fund their Mbappe bid. So getting 35 odd million for him, they probably feel that added to the Varane money is a very good piece of business. So it's not like it's a new signing. He was on the books already. And then the only other signing really is Ramsdale, and a second choice English goalkeeper for whom they've also paid big money. It's hardly going to get Arsenal fans' pulses racing. On the plus side, they've managed to kick Willian out the door, which is definitely a positive, because how he was brought to the club in the first place. But it doesn't cover over the issues they've had bringing in players of real quality and into a squad that is already looking devoid of any real leadership. Granit Xhaka just sums that up entirely. It's
probably not a great sign of a football club when Willian is turning around and saying, yep, I'm happy to earn less per week by just not being here. That's how much I want to leave. Hector Bellerin, I am happy to earn less per week by going elsewhere to play my football. It is a bad thing when people are literally paying to leave your football club. So unfortunately, Dave, yes, they're right in at number 1 on the people who didn't do so good this transfer window. Who else is up there?
I think Burnley are in big trouble. I watched
no one
game.
really. Well, sorry, Nathan Collins.
They brought in Nathan Collins, who I don't think will be a starter for them, all things being equal. If everybody's fit, I don't see him ousting either James Tarkowski or Ben Mee from either one of those central defensive berths, unless Sean Dyche changes his formation, which would be the most unlike Sean Dyche thing that he's ever done in his managerial career. So I don't see that happening, but he's a very good defender to be able to come in if one of those two get injured, assuming they hold on to both of those two. And I haven't heard any murmurings over a potential exit for either Tarkowski or Ben Mee. And they brought in Maxwell Cornet, who's a Champions League experienced fullback from Lyon. But again, it's not going to make a massive amount of difference to them. They already have a pretty decent left back in Charlie Taylor, who's going to give Cornet a decent run for his money when it comes to securing that position on a long-term basis. And that's it. They haven't brought in any firepower up front. They haven't brought in any creativity into midfield. And I would say that Sean Dyche would have expected a little more backing. He wouldn't have anticipated an awful lot from a board of directors that has been pretty miserly when it comes to losing the purse strings during his entire time there. And he always manages to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and maybe they go on a couple of very poor runs over the course of a season, but they still find themselves safe with 3 or 4 games to go. I'm just not sure that they are going to manage to do that this season.
Okay, then who completes your list of the 3 who had a bad window?
Well, I'm kind of just stirring the pot here a little, because I'd say every Liverpool fan out there will disagree with me.
Anne-Marie's with you here.
Yeah, I think Liverpool have had a terrible window because they've signed no one, and the depth of the squad is pretty weak. And if anything like last year happens again, Klopp is going to be under serious pressure from fans, because they're like, where's our £100 million signing?
Do you not think that there's like a depth that kind of comes from people coming back to full fitness, or are we thinking here that Liverpool should have added more regardless?
Well, I think they brought in Konate, and he has the potential to be a world-class defender in the long term. But will he start if all 3 of Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez and Joel Matip are fit, which they are at the moment? I'm not sure that he will. And we saw Firmino limp out at the weekend against Chelsea, which means their front 3 just picked themselves. I think they needed to bring in somebody just to provide a little more competition for Jota, Salah and Sadio Mane. They haven't added anything to their midfield, although I know they have signed Jordan Henderson to a new long-term deal today. I'm not sure that they have freshened things up to the extent that maybe the evidence of last season proved that they needed to do, particularly in midfield and going forward. But defensively, I think they will feel like the return of Virgil van Dijk is, that, to borrow another old adage in football, is like a new signing, because he essentially was missing for virtually the entire season last term. And he's probably the best defender in the world. I don't think I've ever seen a better defender in the last 10 years. So having him back makes an absolutely monumental difference to that Jurgen Klopp team. But I don't think they're going to have the cutting edge about them that they did 2 seasons ago when they won the league, and the season before that when they lost the league with 97 points and won a Champions League title. Now, I'm sure Liverpool fans will disagree, but picking the 3rd of the worst windows for the clubs in the Premier League was probably the most difficult task, because I think you could throw a blanket over 5 or 6 clubs. There were a lot of clubs that didn't do an awful lot.
Right, but you're going along with this.
Yeah, definitely. I think if anything like last season happens again, injury-wise, Klopp's under serious pressure. Fans are going to turn around. Why didn't you sign any big players? Why didn't you bring anyone in?
And also the news this week that Michael Edwards could be out over the next little while as well doesn't actually spell good news for Liverpool on a transfer front over the next little while. I know Liverpool fans were really annoyed with the pre-season predictions when it came to Manchester City and Chelsea being deemed the 2 horses in the race, the 2-horse race for the title. And I mean, they have justification in that, given how they won the league 2 seasons ago, and all those parts are largely still available. But see what you're saying, they haven't exactly added in the way that the rest of the top 4 perhaps has added. But it's interesting as well, Dave, that Man City don't really feature in your top 3 either, despite obviously the Jack Grealish transfer, so no guarantees there that works out. But we'd love to hear your feedback to Dave McIntyre's top 3 and bottom 3 from the transfer window. The window shuts at 11 o'clock tonight?
11 o'clock
11 o'clock tonight, so plenty time for a little bit more movement anyway between now and then. I should tell you that the news round is live with Gillette. Put your best face forward with their new and improved razors. Where are we starting this evening?
The Paralympics own and Uachtaráin Nahair and Michael D. Higgins led the tributes after what was a really good day for Irish athletes at the Games. Cyclists Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal won Ireland's 3rd gold medal in the Japanese capital this morning. They won the women's B time trial on the road in Tokyo. That was in a time of 47 minutes 32.07 seconds. That saw them finish almost a full minute in front of Great Britain, who were in second. Team Ireland now has 6 medals overall. That's because hand cyclist Gary O'Reilly from Laois claimed bronze. That was in the H5 time trial earlier on today. He clocked a time of 39 minutes, 36.4 seconds on the road. Elsewhere then, Ronan Grimes ended in 6th place in the C4 time trial final, while Rochelle Timothy finished 14th. That was in the C13 time trial. And Orla Comerford was 4th in her heat. That was in the T13 100 metres, but that result wasn't, unfortunately, enough to reach the final.
And we will have our Paralympics report at around 20 to 9 this evening here on Off the Ball. Tomorrow evening, though, Anne-Marie, it's a big one.
Yeah, massive. Republic of Ireland striker Adam Ida says he's looking forward to sharing a pitch with Cristiano Ronaldo tomorrow night. The Cork native has been looking ahead to the World Cup qualifier, which is against Portugal. The Portuguese FA confirmed today that just under 8,000 spectators will be in attendance at the game, but obviously we know no away fans are permitted. Ida says that Ronaldo is simply one of the all-time greatest.
Where he carries himself, I think he's got an unbelievable attitude, obviously a great work ethic, and what he does on the pitch is amazing. His goal scoring record is just outrageous. So I think once you have a player like Ronaldo playing in the game, it is exciting, and everyone's excited to get going and to play these games. They're big games for us, so yeah, everyone's excited just to get going.
Where are the confidence levels at ahead of this international window, Dave?
I'd say Portugal are pretty confident, Don.
Where are the Republic of Ireland confidence levels at, Dave? Sorry, the Irish person's confidence levels. I'm talking about your confidence levels, your optimism levels rather than confidence, perhaps.
Like, what would be an okay loss?
I don't know. It's a very difficult question to ask. Am I optimistic that we'll get a result, either a point or 3 points out there? Of course I'm not. And why would I be? And there's been no evidence to suggest over the last year that Ireland will go there and get a point at least from this game. Am I optimistic that we'll see more green shoots of productivity and progress? I am, actually, because I watched both of their last 2 games. I commentated on the Hungary game, which I thought was a very good first half and probably the best half outside of the Slovakia game that we had produced under Stephen Kenny. And I thought the manner in which they responded to the most hellish of circumstances in Andorra was impressive as well, because that would probably have been the end of that managerial ticket had they not turned that around. When they went 1-0 down, I just thought, this just cannot be happening and there's no way this can possibly end well. So I'm still optimistic that this group of players and the management team has the capacity to show us in the remainder of this World Cup campaign that they deserve a crack at the European Championship qualifiers, which is all that really a managerial ticket for the Republic of Ireland can expect nowadays. But I really don't think we can expect our teams to qualify for the World Cup anymore. The numbers don't add up anymore. It's the sheer difficulty of it. It's just something that's now, as things stand with Irish football at the moment, it's beyond us. But we should be able to qualify for the Euros. We should have qualified for the last Euros. And I really hope that they show enough to the FA and to the FAI and the Irish fans in the next 6 months to earn them another 2-year contract that sees them have an opportunity to try and qualify for the next European Championships. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to have Brian Kerr with us a little bit later on. He shares your optimism based on the Hungary game, where he saw green shoots on a pragmatic level. He felt that Ireland maybe had reined in the adventure to a certain point, and it was actually from there that we started to see a bit of a resurgence from Shane Duffy. So there were real tangible things that he's seen in the course of those summer friendlies that may point to some success over the next little while. But we have to say, you can't necessarily point to any sort of success and hope for a win or a draw even tomorrow night. It does seem a little bit out of reach to be expecting that. We can hope for that, but to expect that, I think, is a little bit ambitious. But certainly Azerbaijan and Serbia, results-based performance is probably what a lot of people are going to be looking towards. But we should move on, Anne-Marie, because there is a heap of things to get into on the football front abroad, because it is transfer deadline day, as we've already mentioned.
Yep, and Cristiano Ronaldo's move back to Manchester United, obviously the biggest news of the day. It was confirmed around lunchtime, and he returns to Old Trafford on a 2-year deal that's from Juventus with the option of extending for a third. The 36-year-old scored 118 goals in 292 games during his first spell with the club. He took to social media today to say that he's back back where he belongs, and he dedicated the move to former manager Sir Alex Ferguson, who we know was key in the move. Elsewhere then, on transfer deadline day, Leeds signed Daniel James from Manchester United this afternoon. The Welsh winger moves to Ellen Road on a 5-year contract that's worth £25 million. He was just minutes away from joining the club back in the 2018-2019 Championship season, and reacting to today's move, Leeds striker Patrick Bamford hopes that he can provide him with plenty of assists.
I think it would be easy to just say that it brings extreme pace, but we've played against him a few times in the Premier League, and you've seen he's got quality as well. So it's up to him to try and force his way into the team. Now he's at Leeds, and I'm sure he has a lot to offer.
And then PSG have turned down Real Madrid's offer for Kylian Mbappe this evening. It was reportedly in the region of €200 million. Elsewhere then, Arsenal attacking midfielder Reiss Nelson has joined Dutch side Feyenoord. That's on a season-long loan. The Gunners have brought Japanese centre-back Takeo Tamasayo for £17 million. That's from Bologna. Everton striker Moise Keane has gone on loan to Juventus. That's for the next 2 years. West Ham have signed Croatian forward Nikola Vlasic from CSKA Moscow. Leicester have just in the last hour or so completed a season-long loan for our RB Leipzig winger Ademel Lukman. Lee Griffiths then has gone to Dundee on loan from Celtic, and Hudson Edouard had a medical today ahead of a move to Crystal Palace that hasn't yet been finalised, but it looks like he is going away from Celtic.
Just a couple of other things then that have broken in the last little while. Emerson has signed for Spurs for €30 million from Barcelona, and then Chelsea have an agreement to loan Saul from Atletico, which is an interesting one. And then also Conor Coventry, the Ireland under-21 captain, has been loaned to Peterborough as well. There's a deal on that one, so plenty happening over the next little while, as you can imagine. The FAI Cup draw then, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, made this evening, and it is the quarter-final stage. So UCD will take on Waterford. St Pat's have been drawn against Wexford. Finn Harps and Dundalk will meet, and then Bohemians will face Maynooth University Town. Those games take place the week ending Sunday the 19th of September.
And we'll just finish up on the tennis then.
Yeah, the first round of the US Open is continuing in New York. Women's 4th seed Karolina Pliskova beat American Catherine McNally in straight sets today. That was in their first round match, 6-3, 6-4 the final score there. While 2018 champion and top seed Ashley Barty is taking on Vera Zvonareva in New York, and she leads the first set there 3-0. In the men's draw, 4th seed Alexander Zverev beat Californian Sam Querrey in straight sets, 6-4, 7-5, 6-2. And world number 1 Novak Djokovic starts his tournament against Holger Rune of Denmark at midnight tonight. The Serbian is of course attempting to become the first man to complete a calendar Grand Slam since 1969.
Just before we wrap up, we literally have 30 seconds, Dave. We'd love to get your prediction for tomorrow night before we let you go.
Do you know what? 1-1. Let's say 1-1.
I like it. Start as we mean to go on. Big football show coming your way later on, and a big part of it is going to be Brian Kerr looking ahead to tomorrow. And I love the optimistic note we've got off to tonight. Dave McIntyre, great stuff. Thanks a million.
Thanks, guys.
Anne-Marie Donelan, great stuff.
Thank you.
The news round has been thanks with Gillette. Put your best face forward with their new and improved razors. Now, it is time for this.
It's the competition giving you life-changing cash.